I'll tell you one thing that actually makes a great thinker. Intelligence is not basically, you're not born with intelligence. I was just a slightly above average person. I wasn't intelligent as a youngster. I was also not a great student, an average student I was. The only subject that I really had high marks in, like 18 out of 20 in Greece, was physics, because I got on with my physics teacher and I love physics. But every other subject, I was sort of, the 15 out of, like, which is a credit, like 75%, but it was not, the high marks. Physics was my only one that got up to 18 out of 20. And when it came to ancient Greek, oh God, did I struggle with that. I was only getting out 12 out of 20, so I was just managing slightly above a pass. But yeah, I really did. I love sports. I did a lot of that sort of stuff, and used to play soccer, used to do a lot of cycling and stuff like that, and a bit of weightlifting as well, because a mate of mine had a weightlifting sort of setup under his home, so we used to go there and do a bit of that as well. So yeah, it was a very different life, and um, then I sort of moved neighbourhoods, and the kids there were sort of upper middle class, much smarter than me, and well learned, and I felt dumb. I really felt dumb, Adrian, really dumb, and I started reading profusely. And within a very short amount of time, I was reading like 7 books a week, and within a matter of a couple of, and that's concurrently, simultaneously reading multiple books. And within probably a year, a bit over a year, I learnt so much. I absorbed into my head, because I had the will. If you don't want to learn something, you won't learn. You really have to have the drive. And I had the motivation. It was more probably ego. As a youngster, I didn't want to feel dumb around these other kids, and I ended up learning far more than they ever did. And I was out to out debate them and everything. And I realized at that moment that you're not born with intelligence. You're not smart just because you're born, or you grow up in a family that gets exposed. If you're motivated, you get motivated at any point in life to learn, and you really have a drive. Yeah, you'll really learn a lot of things. I think some people, they learn their profession, they stick tightly within their profession. They don't learn outside the box. People like Einstein were great thinkers because they learned outside the box. They were actually controversial people. Einstein was even had difficulty with mathematics. He wasn't a good mathematician. He really struggled with mathematics. He was very poor in mathematics. Actually had difficulty finding a good job. He actually had to get one of his mates to help him with some of the maths in his theory. But because he was basically working at the patent office and exposed to all these new different ideas, and started reading all this sort of stuff and all that. You had so much information. When you've got a lot of information, you can do more. You can compare more things. You can see associations and relationships, patterns that other people don't see, miss, because they have learned the standard information. They've gone through the standard education system. They've learned the standard stuff. They've been told this is, and they live within that restricted standard model. People that are outsiders, they are the creative people. They're the people that basically make innovations, change things, realizing, see patterns and go, wow, that's the sort of person I am. But I didn't realize it as a youngster. And that's why basically I've been able to come up with these solutions. So, but these people will never do, because they're in that paradigm of pharmacology and surgical techniques, and they can't escape it because they're brainwashed into that. And most people, you go through an education system, you're brainwashed to learn exactly these things, and then these are like dogmas. You follow the dogmas, and everybody does. They say, oh, we want people to be critical. Bullshit. No, you just want them to basically believe what's in the book as the dogma, and make sure that they can repeat it as parrots all the time. And that's what happens. Where I jumped, for some reason, the way I've grown up, the way I've been influenced, I've been always a maverick, an outsider. I've never been a conformist, been a bit of a rebel as well. Would get into street fights and all sorts of things. I don't conform to the nice the nice boy, especially when I was younger. And so, yeah, I got into all sorts of things. As I said, I did some things that were questionable on the legal side. so, so basically, yes, I've had a very colourful life in that regard. But I'm an outsider, and as an outsider, I look at things very differently in the world. I don't follow the standard rules. I usually break rules rather than follow rules. And so by being an outsider, you can look in and say, well, that's bullshit, because you're street smart as well. And so when you're smart, when you have got a lot of knowledge and you're street smart as well, that street smartness gives you the edge. You can see the bullshit for the real stuff, the real relationships and all that. And that's the difference. And I think that the way I've socialized, and if you encourage people to be critical thinkers, you really have to basically allow them to look at a lot of information. Don't restrict, because when you restrict, then they really don't have a proper insight into things. And that's what the education system does, and just brings out the standard sort of your standard model of person or human that will do the standard job as a cog in the system, because that's what they want. Yes, you sort of have to step away from that and realize I've been bullshitted. I wonder what, and then go in and look and do a deep dive. So remember, g'day, Jonathan. Intelligence. I don't consider myself an intelligent man. Believe me, I just consider myself above average, and that's just because I've accumulated so much knowledge that I can compare a lot of information in my brain. When you have limited knowledge, it doesn't matter. Limited knowledge will just give you very limited analytical bases. So really, you have to be a creative thinker. You basically have to be willing to learn. You have to have a drive to learn new things, not just what they teach you, but outside things that they don't teach you.